Greetings, greetings, greetings. Pray that everyone is blessed and that you're experiencing the favor of God as you watch this video. I wanted to come before you guys and bring the prophetic insights that the Lord gave me for Nigeria, which is the most populous nation in Africa, on the continent of Africa. And Africa is not a country. For some, it is actually a continent with many countries. A lot of people don't know that, surprisingly. Also, a very powerful nation there in West Africa. Previously, I brought prophetic words about the student loan debt cancellation, and then there was just a big announcement about billions of dollars in student loan cancellation. And then I brought a prophetic word about, and this was in October of last year, about food shortages and disruption in the food supply chain. And we've been seeing the news articles that certain regions are having those things happen. And so as I bring these things for you, they're just not for prophetic insight. They're actually for you to pray as God leads. And so I'm going to share what God gave me for Nigeria. I'm going to actually tell you that when these things were downloaded to me, I didn't share with anyone. They were in December. And one of my friends from the UK, who is Nigerian, contacted me. And, I said, it's funny you just contacted me. Lord just gave me some things for your home country. And he said, I knew you had a prophetic word. He just felt it in his heart. And that was the reason he was contacting me. And so that was confirmation for me to share it with him. And then I shared it with just a few others, including my wife and some others who I don't need to name. But with that being said, the last 3 or 4 days I've been feeling this pressing to share what I got in December, the end of December, middle of December, with towards the end of December, with the body at large. So number one, I had this vision of, like, I want to say, an angel kind of contemplating or weighing in the balances prayers that were ascending from the earth. And then I want to say this, that many were praying for a change of power, a shifting of power, specifically with an individual in power to be removed. And then I saw rejoicing in the South, rejoicing in the streets of the South. And I believe there's going to be a tremendous power shift. And God is the one that raises up kings and also the ones that takes down kings. He raises up prime ministers, he takes down prime ministers. He raises up leaders and he takes down leaders. But I believe there's going to be, let's say, a shift that takes place ahead of the season that is scheduled. And for you guys to understand what I'm saying, you can decipher that. That's number one. So we need to be praying for number two, to walk in the shoes that God has set up for him, and for him to be strengthened, for him to get divine revelation, for him to have divine insight. Now, the second thing that I saw was, I saw like the Arabic nations, Nigeria, and it looked like some other smaller African nations. I couldn't tell you which ones they were. But as I said that, I actually heard some Central African nations that kind of had like a new formation or alliance, like an oil cartel. They were dealing with oil and gas, and they were coming together to figure out how to come against China's manipulation of the oil and gas market. I'm not even sure if China has oil and gas or if they just purchase it or buy it, but there was some type of threat that they felt from China, and they had to come together. And so we need to pray that God gives them strategic insight how to work all of that out, so that, not that I'm against China, but I just don't feel it'd be good if they had a strong foothold in that market, or were able to manipulate those oil markets. It wouldn't be good for the U.S., wouldn't be good for the Western world, wouldn't be good for democracies. And so that's something we need to pray about, is that alliance between those nations. Nextly, I saw the Naira. The Naira is the currency of Nigeria, and I saw this billboard sign, and it had literally, right now I think the Naira is like $1 would get you like 450 or so, or 400 Naira, but it had doubled. It had beyond doubled. It had beyond doubled. It had went above 900 Naira per dollar, approaching $1,000. 1,000 Naira per $1, which would be really a high level of inflation. Also probably have a high level of unemployment, and also make it difficult for people to pay workers, make it difficult for people to pay their bills, and to just sustain in life. And so what I saw several of the West African nations forming a currency. And I saw it was like, I'm going to use the example of CARICOM. So in the Caribbean, uh, they have the CARICOM nations, and they have a currency, I believe it's called the EC. It's like a common currency. So in those individual countries like St. Lucia or Barbados, they have their own currency, but I believe they're part of this EC currency, and it gives them more strength. And it still may be there. But anyway, I saw this common currency for West Africa that would help stabilize some of the currency, especially for Nigeria. But what I was told was if they get involved in it, they only need to stay in it for like 4 years and then pull out of it, because their economy would actually have an uptick and upturn, and this currency, or this common currency, uh, would actually lessen their currency if they stayed in it long term. It would be like a short term solution. The next thing that I saw these papers. I saw the papers, and over the paper was vision, the word vision. And the Lord began to tell me that there's already plans. There's already someone that I want to say, I almost want to say that they tapped into it. God didn't just download it; they tapped into it by their academic studies and opened their hearts and their purity of heart and motive. But there is actually plans already written in the nation of Nigeria to help the nation become more self-sustainable. Now, I believe every nation has to do imports, have to import certain products and certain goods, but there are many nations that have, let me give you an example. Congo has all of the material, raw materials that's needed for making iPhones. That's where a lot of the raw material comes from. But they don't make one phone. They don't make any phones, but they have all the raw materials. The phones are made elsewhere. And if you're going to buy a phone in the Congo, you have to get it imported in. And so what I'm saying is there are always going to be certain imports, but some nations have an imbalance with imports. There's things they already should have self-sustainable, things they already should be producing, and things they shouldn't have to import because they have the manpower, they have the resources, and they have the things indigenous to their country. But because of corruption, because of imperialism, because of all of these other things that's taken place, they're importing things at a high price that they could be making there. So anyway, that's part of it. But the Lord showed me that there's already a plan written for the future of the nation, for its economy, for its fiscal policy, for its imports and exports, all of these things. And I saw it in a university that is actually was written up in a dissertation, was actually written up as some type of project for a major university in Nigeria. And the people there, you need to pray that the leadership of the nation digs through the archives, or pray, or however, I don't know how they're going to find it, but it's somewhere where it needs to be dusted off, it needs to be pulled out, and it's going to be so spectacular when the leadership grabs hold of it, because it's going to be some things already discussed, and it's going to fill in the pieces of the puzzle. And when I first typed up this word and sent it out to some of my friends that are from Nigeria, I actually only sent it to some overseas and my wife. I didn't know the university. I want to say strongly, you know what? I'm not going to say which university. That's for, because there's wicked people that'll go out and actually try to destroy stuff for their own benefit. But maybe I'll tell some people in private what university came to me as I was about to do the video. It actually just fell into my spirit. I believe I know it. And so I can't say I heard from God. I just feel like it dropped on me. The next thing that I saw is the road systems. You know, that's been something troubling for the nation, something that people complain about. And I saw the country of Germany. I don't know why I saw steel when I saw Germany, but I believe that deals with production. But the road system, I saw German roads. And when I say it's hard to explain the way I see some of this stuff, I'm just telling you, I saw these roads and I knew that German engineers, German civil engineers had designed or redesigned the road system there. And part of what I saw, that it was two roads that went from south to north, and they kind of went this way, like they were close together, almost parallel, but they kind of went out at angles. And then in between them were some smaller roads, but then there was this big road that went from, what is that? That would be from west to east in a half circle. And so it's a little bit more complex than that. But those were the three major new roads that I saw. And then there were smaller roads that interconnected them, that would interconnect about 70 or 80% of the nation, the way they look. But it looked way more complex than that, because there are a lot of smaller roads or interstates or whatever you want to call it that connected all of those things together. But I heard specifically that the attempts to improve the infrastructure of the roads that failed, they need to actually look to Germany, and that it would finally happen for that nation and also be major for what God wants to do there in the future. The last thing that I heard was, and I was debating even sharing this part, I saw the APC gaining power. That's one of their political powers. And I heard this for the PDP, Proverbs 17:23, that because they had perverted justice, it says that when you receive a bribe, you pervert the course of justice or judgment, that there's judgment on that, there's a degree of judgment on that party because of some types of bribes or perversion or judgment that's taken place over the last many years. And I'm sure the APC has their issues. I'm sure they've done some of that stuff too. Probably, I don't know. I don't live there. But I'm just telling what I heard in the spirit, that over the next years, APC would gain more power. PDP will begin to lose power. And also that a lot of pastors, major prophetic voices, major pastoral leaders, major apostolic leaders in the church will begin to jump shift. Ones that have been, I mean, these have been like PDP loyalists, will begin to come over to the ADP and not ADP, APC. And I don't want to say pledge allegiance, but give more of their support and their direction in the PDP. And then I saw a third party of risings. Like I saw the PDP going down and I saw the APC going up, but I also saw this third party coming up in the middle. And I don't know the name of the party. I don't know which party it is. I didn't actually even ask God specifically. Maybe I'll ask God specifically which party is it. But there'll be another party that you'll see in about 7 or 8 years or a decade that will be right there as I don't want to say a forerunner, but be right there in the running with the ABC and the PDP, and they will gain new momentum. So anyway, Nigeria is extremely strategic for the continent. They have the largest population. They have the most people in Africa that travel to other nations and affect Europe and America and different countries. And so I know that is a place where the enemies try to get in so strong with witchcraft, with kleptocracy, with corruption, with unrest, with civil confusion, all of these different things. But it's also one of the most powerful places that people are praying, that they're seeking the Lord, that they're experiencing prophetic outpourings and revival. And so we want God to prevail in the nation, and we want the wisdom of God for the leaders to implement the right plans, because when nations prosper, poverty and ignorance begins to decrease. And those are two things that the enemy loves to exploit, is poverty and ignorance. When you see witchcraft, occultism, and corruption, like super heavy, most of the time you'll find in those, anywhere in the world, you'll find that there's poverty and ignorance or a lack of academia. And so we just pray that the right decisions are made that come down from heaven, so that the nation can prosper and the plans of the enemy can be derailed. In Jesus' name, blessings to you.